Thanks, Fernanda, for that lovely introduction, and thank all of you for inviting me to be part of this very special event. I can tell you how excited I am, and without further ado, I would like to get started with my presentation. All of you are amazing, wonderful, intrepid homestagers of Brazil. And of course, as you know, intrepid means resolute and fearlessness, which is what you're going to need to call upon in order to build out this industry and have the endurance of an intrepid explorer. And please forgive my Portuguese if it's not exactly correct. I did use the internet, but I wanted to give you a motivation point to start our time together. And this quote from Margaret Mead: never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And I'm here to pay testament to that, because when we first started staging in year 2000, it was, we are changing the way real estate is being sold. And that is what your goal is definitely about. So I'm going to give you some insight in that. Fernanda asked me to share a little part of our journey and give you some, hopefully, encouragement in terms of what you can do in your own journey. So this, of course, is Ronaldo, one of your greatest soccer players, and Marta, who holds the record for Brazil's top international goal scorer of either gender, with 112 goals, and also has the record for the most goals scored in the FIFA World Cup tournament, men or women's, with 17 goals. So she is certainly an outstanding player. And of course, you have Neymar Jr., who is famous for his 70 goals in 116 matches, and the second highest goal scorer in Brazil, following Pelé, of course. And Oscar Niemeyer, an amazing architect from Brazil, who is a major figure in the development of modern architecture. As you might know, he designed the National Congress, the Cathedral of Brasilia, some contemporary art museums, the United Nations headquarters in New York City, and many, many more. And do you know that Brazil was the first country ever to accept women into their armed forces? You are the largest exporter of coffee. You have amazing drinks. And of course, 60% of the rainforest is in your country, and 15% of the world's biodiversity. So it's well earned the title of the world's largest medicine cabinet, because 25% of all the drugs used in modern Western medicine come from Amazonian plants. And that's just to name a few luminaries who started with a small inspirational thought and became luminaries in their own right. And of course, you have Fernanda, who thought about having a staging business, took that step, took the training, and became the first certified staging professional in Brazil. And no one will be able to take that title away from her. So now we're celebrating all of you coming together. How wonderful is that? So pop the champagne and let's start your journey. So what I know over the 25 years that I've been in this industry, and indeed the 25 years prior to that in the corporate world, I can honestly tell you, perspective is amazing. So let me just give you a little perspective of where we are as stagers in this world. And if we look at trees for inspiration, this is representing the real estate industry, which is a regulated industry, been around for 100 years, rules and regulations, and often government restrictions. This is the home inspection industry, which has been around 50 years. And I've looked at it in Brazil as well as in North America. But these are integral parts of changing the way real estate got to be sold and how important home inspection is for that buyer of or investor of property. This is international, CSP International. We literally were the first school teaching the business of staging. And then there is the staging industry, and there is you. So it's a journey. And when Fernanda said to me, you know, what does it take? How hard is it to start from scratch in a market for home staging when you already have a well-developed real estate market? So the good part of that is, of course, if you have a real estate market, you have real estate professionals who work in that industry, you have people selling and buying real estate, then there is a need for the service. So when we first started 25 years ago, we absolutely didn't know that. And many people think it just takes a magic wand to build a business. Even today, it's just thought of to be, oh, I'd like to be a stager, and voila, you are one. To build a business and be successful takes determination and motivation, willpower and resilience, just like all of those amazing people that I talked about in the previous slide. You have to really believe that you can do it and know that there is no such word as can't. But while you are building your business, remember, the thing always happens that you really believe in. And it's the belief in the thing that makes it happen. So a little bit about me. I am originally British, went to school in England, in the northeast of England, went through all my high school years during the time that the miniskirt was introduced and the Beatles, and went to college and got married right away. And as I was tending my son when he was around about 5, I left my husband and had to get a job. And I started in the corporate world as a salesperson. And over a period of 20-something plus years, made a lot of money for the person that I worked for. And not forgetting during a time when women were not naturally accepted in business. Everything was a struggle, a lot of stereotypical situations that you might think about that today are considered to be woke. And then one day, 2 days past my birthday and 3 days before I was to take my grandchildren to Disney World, boom, 3 minutes changed my life. So after managing a $10 million franchise operation for a business owner, I was called into the office, and within 3 minutes, I no longer was employed. I was also at a vulnerable stage in my life as a woman, corporate executive, trying to find another job. I think I took the easy way out at first and thought of, like, that's it, I'm retired, I'm not going to work anymore. But eventually I was with my second husband at that point, and neither one of us had a pension. And so his agreement to me was, please find a way to make money that makes you happy, pay the mortgage off, and you can leave work. So that was 25 years ago. I am still working, but the mortgage was paid off in 3 years. So that's really your first thing as you start your business, is to have a really tangible goal that you're working for. If you're lucky enough to have someone supporting you and who takes care of the fact that there will be food on the table, regardless of whether you get a staging job or not, you still need a goal, a financial goal, to motivate you internally. So eventually, probably about 4 or 5 months after I got let go, I actually started my own business. And one thing I've learned is to have faith is to have a deep sense of trust in what you cannot see. Proof or evidence is not needed. It comes from an inner sense of knowing that guides you to trust the process wholly and completely. That God is in control and not you. It is not for you to need to know what is unfolding or why, but simply to be in the present moment and experience it, but be kind to yourself. When you hit a roadblock, rethink your strategies. Look at obstacles as opportunities and don't believe in the concept of failure. Always keep the vision that you begin with and don't let the fear of time that it will take to accomplish something stand in the way of you doing it. You know, I sort of thought of that when I looked at the 100-year-old tree and, you know, you being that little acorn. The time will pass anyway, and we might just as well put that passing time to the best possible use. But keep in mind what Napoleon Hill said is whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. And for you, you really are coming into this industry at an amazing time in the world. There is so much going on in support of and the development of the industry that you don't have as big a pioneer trail to go down. For me, I thought, what is my skill set? I had come from the corporate world helping people find work in whether it was a temporary or permanent placement. So I was in HR, I had finance, but I didn't want to do that anymore. And I also loved to shop and decorate. So I started a decorating business and I developed a website. I had somebody do it for me because I didn't want to learn how to do that. But at a time, think about this, 25 years ago, there was no social media. So having a website, people were really impressed. And it added to my credibility, something that I had not thought about before, because in the corporate world, I was the general manager. Whatever I wanted happened. So starting out in a new industry, I found nobody knew what home staging was. So I participated in helping write this home staging business guide. I knew that you needed multiple streams of income when you get started so that you don't have to go through any lulls. And then I started writing to the local newspapers, to go on the local radio, to talk about not what I did, but how it changed the way real estate is sold and what it means to that particular real estate agent or to that investor of real estate. I look back on this site and say, sign up for my e-zine, which is, you know, the pop word at that time for newsletter. So, I mean, even back then, I was pretty well thinking ahead as any pioneer might be. So my business as Decorating Solution was confusing to the real estate agent who started to think of staging as decorating. So I had a business card on one side that said Decorating Solutions and on the other, Stage to Sell. And I diverted my focus away from decorating to staging because I absolutely loved the way it happened quickly. And most of the time, if you approach it well, the people who you're dealing with actually don't have to approve that they love it, even though they do when you're finished that job. But I just loved it. In, out, exciting. They love it. And I started to build my reputation. So that was the sort of platform that I stood on, changing the way real estate is sold. And what I realized is that you have to really educate that real estate agent who's resistant to learning the ways that real estate is changing. And this, if it gives you any inspiration at all, Darren Brand is my very first student way back in those early years, who's now He started as a young man. He's now married. He's got children who are in university. He was the stager to Brad Lamb, who was a big city broker, big condo developer in Toronto. And he staged all of those properties for the TV show. He is still in business. So he is Toronto Condos Staging and Design, and he is now an older man, and his beautiful wife, both of them graduates of the program, have built this incredible staging business. So that's 22 years, the longest continuous staging business. But for me, obviously I've changed over the years, as we all do. But going back to where I started in terms of changing the way real estate is being sold, built my staging business, won accolades and awards, started writing my own training program, and launched Canadian Staging Professionals. I was a big advocate of finding credible ways to have people believe that this is something that is such a key marketing component for getting properties sold. And this lady, Anne Maurice, was known as the house doctor in the United Kingdom. So I emailed her. It took 3 minutes. Out of the blue, I didn't know her. I went on her site and sent her an email and said to her, I would love to have a conversation, a business proposition that I have. And the long and the short of the story, I flew to England, I met her, and she became an ambassador for the CSP staging training program for 5 years. I went on TV shows, I wrote Home Staging for Dummies. I did everything that I could think of to promote publicly the world of staging and what it meant. I gathered some other accolades. I was my best-selling author. I've met Barbara Cochran, who is Shark Tank in the United States, but day by day, in every way, getting better and better. Eventually, we had international students who were saying, it's confusing calling your company Canadian Staging Professionals because we're not Canadian. So we launched the CSP International Business Training Academy. And we've been teaching the business of staging and supporting stagers ever since. My biggest thrill is helping people become successful. And over the years, we have more STAR graduates than anyone else. And that is really my biggest thrill. I did figure in the top 100 elite women changing the real estate industry back in 2017, which was really a chuckle for me when I realized I started out saying we're changing the way real estate is being sold. I was fortunate to be included in this amazing booklet it's actually a really hardback book for the immigration element of people coming into our country who need to start a business and use the power within. So yeah, over the years, I'm just looking at how can I get the name of CSP out there? How can I raise the platform, raise the education level of people who want to understand that staging is all about marketing? So a couple of years after we started the CSP program, the Real Estate Staging Association in North America sort of came together, much like you were coming together. And I have supported them from its inception. My membership number is 1. And many of my graduates have won accolades and awards. And in 2020, it was like we walked away with all the awards. It was quite phenomenal. And many of those now are 20 years in business. This lady that you see here came to Canada from South America from Ecuador to learn how to be a staging professional. And every year I figure in the top 100 most influential. This year, of course, I'm also a nominee for the RISA Partner of the Year as an educational provider. So I'm very excited about that. The International Association of Home Staging Professionals awarded me last year Pioneer, Client Care, Home Staging Excellence, and Leadership. So it's been a journey, the Better Business Bureau, the International Business Women's Enterprise, anything and everything that I can think of, even the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Real Estate Staging Association. I've done a lot, and putting this presentation together for you really helped me put into perspective how far we've come and how much of a contribution I've actually made, because we tend to forget. Yeah, I've written books, I've given talks, I've attended events, I've moved outside of my comfort zone, I've trained with really top international business people, Michael E. Gerber and Dewey Sadka. Michael E. Gerber wrote E-Myth and the world's most successful small business in the world. And Dewey Sadka, I learned color from him. So these were big expenses for me to invest in and to travel to where they were so that I could learn, so I could be better, so I could teach better and make a better student and help everybody be better at the work that they do. But the challenges that people who are in this industry face, predominantly because they're home-based businesses, I find were around marketing and the business side of things. Because everybody, when they think, oh, I want to be a stager, thinks simply about putting the furniture in place and doing the decorating side of things. But before you can do the decorating side of things, you have to plan everything. And before you can do that, you have to preview the properties. You have to consult with the parties involved. And before you can do that, you have to do sales and marketing. Marketing are all the things that you do to get attention, to let people know that you are actually a business. And then sales is the process to have them becoming a client. And you need to measure the profitability of that for yourself, which then led us to the business side of things. And so teaching all the things that you need in terms of business, finance, marketing, accounting, profitability, payment, contracts, business cards, all of that. That is, in essence, the CSP business training for staging professionals. And, every minute is a 3-minute window of time. Somebody said, do you have a PowerPoint for us? Create a PowerPoint. We need to educate real estate agents, so we created a real estate agent program. We need a contract, so we create the contract. So it's literally a 3-minute conversation with someone who said, hey, do you have this? And boom, we created it. And it's sort of like a separate industry in itself to be able to support all of that. This is Red Barawevo, who was in financial banking before he became a stager, and now is a star on HGTV and 20 years. He's on the national board of the Real Estate Staging Association, in which I've also served. Laurie Pedersen, every single member of her team is CSP certified, and she leverages that. She is in 15 years. If you go to our site under testimonials, you'll find little videos of people that I've interviewed, and you can find out about their individual success. This is Julie Cairn, a young, I think she's now in her second year, but achieved her first year goals within 7 months. Napur, who came from India to Canada and started a business. Kristen, who started as a helper to her mother's business and now is internationally renowned and award-winning. Ellen Mann, Michelle Finnemore, beautiful ladies and men, Devonia, who is an interior designer, Daniela from Prague, Leslie from St. Louis. They all have different elements and different models of business that you will find insightful. Mariah, and why I talk about that to you is because you are starting at a time when there's a lot of competition in real estate. You know, what is the outlook for real estate market in Brazil? It's expected to reach almost 60 billion in 2024, and it's growing at a really good rate. So that means there's a lot of competition in real estate, and the agents are looking for something different. Brazilians are beginning to look for larger and nicer homes with more space for workplaces and homeschooling, just like we are in North America. And in 2021, they were able to take advantage of low mortgage rates. So as a result of that, the property market saw one of its busiest times on record. In 2021, sales in the capital increased by 86%. Big growth in Sao Paulo in luxury and super luxury. So the real estate market in Brazil is competitive, and competition and pricing is where most people consider how you win clients. There's a really good book called Red Ocean, Blue Ocean. And essentially what it says is when you enter an existing market space, the only way to beat out your competition is by trading off dollars, lowering your rates, doing more for less. And it's a struggle. In fact, I want you to think about just a little segue. Do you know what this is? Do you know who this is? This is Jeff Bezos, who started selling books out of his parents' garage. 1994. His father was an immigrant from Cuba. They rented this house, and he started in that garage. No social media, and now 2/3 of the world use social media. He is the first centibillionaire on Forbes Wealth Index, the most richest man in modern history, after his net worth increased to 150 billion. So when he started and actually got an office in 1999, he had to have had a goal. He had to have a bigger vision. He'd moved from that garage to this tatty little office, but he said, our vision is to be the world's most consumer-centric company where customers can come to find anything they want to buy online. That is Blue Ocean, creating an uncontested market space, making the competition irrelevant. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do, because many people today think of staging as decorating. And decorating is one of the jobs within the business, but you are actually in the real estate industry too. So teaching sellers and agents what it means to them and what it means for them, as opposed to it just gives pretty pictures. It gives outstanding photographs. And let's face it, 100% of people check out listings online first. People are moving from one side of the country to another. They can't just pop in and take a look at that condominium. They see it online. So for you, if you're wondering and pondering, should I do this? As Nike says, just do it. It gives you control. There's so many success stories begin with a low moment in their life or a job loss, like mine did, an economic situation. Microsoft started in a recession in 1973, FedEx in 1971. Hyatt started in 1957. There was a recession and they turned into a 5-star hotel chain. Right? There's less competition. When the economy is down, many people start to look to about being their own boss. And then they listen to the news and they worry, and then they don't. You get to work from home, so it reduces your startup expenses. And maybe you want funding from a bank or an independent investor. In order to do that, you need to develop a solid business plan. Maybe you just go to friends and family. Maybe you get a line of credit. Maybe you just work with savings. But when the economy is unsettled, you tend to get better rates. You'll get more sales on things that you need. Meanwhile, you're building job security, building your confidence, and helping the economy where you live. Technically, we usually say that there's a ripple in the economy. When one property sells, there's usually about $30,000 to $35,000 of business within the cycle of getting that property sold, with home inspections and attorneys, property developers, all the things, marketing. You're helping other people. We usually say it creates about 3 to 5 jobs. And then you do have to be motivated, right? Determined to win. Make sure that you have the appropriate planning and resources to build that thriving business, because solopreneurs are changing the face of the economy. This is a new kind of entrepreneur who's taking the world by storm, and even solopreneurs are getting younger and younger. Looking ahead, though, Brazil's economy is forecasted to grow, and the central bank has been reducing interest rates, which should support the recovery ahead. And at the same time, the labor market is tight, which has allowed for relatively strong wage growth. And 30% of the population, well, let me just go back. It says Brazil is entrepreneurial. 1 in 6 adults is either trying to launch a business or is the owner of a new venture. And 30% of the population is quite a bit higher than the 22% of the US who is starting a bit of people who are starting a business. So it's quite an interesting time. And this article in Forbes magazine asked, what do Brazilians want? And the answer was pretty much what consumers in the US want. That many Brazilian entrepreneurs look to successful business models in the US and then attempt to replicate them. So that is really a strong support to why you absolutely need to take time out and take that big idea and make sure it executes with a business plan. A good business plan will force you to think through all the aspects of your startup venture, highlight any potential problems, identify opportunities that you might not have considered, and you will be prepared for anything. It will also help you explain your concept if you decide that you are looking for a business partner or funding. And when it comes to funding and forecasting out your financial element of getting business growth, I want you to remember you are in the real estate business, and the service that you provide helps sellers of real estate and real estate agents make more money than you do. And it's not simple. So when it comes to you establishing your pricing, what I do for the graduates of our program, I've actually created a spreadsheet for them. I call it the pricing calculator. So all they have to do is enter how much time it's going to take for each aspect of the job, and then they're able to come up with a quote. But you have to factor in everything, every single thing, just like an attorney would factor in every second of time that they put talking with you or any part of your case. It's all part of pricing well. And remember, it takes time. When we say the thing always happens that you really believe in, and the belief in the thing that makes it happen, this beautiful architecture that you're seeing on the right in the middle of a forest is Frank Lloyd Wright. He is renowned for his unique work, and this is called Falling Water. You can look it up on the internet. It's amazing property that was built in the, well, he started in the 30s, 1930s. He estimated this property to be cost $35,000 and actually cost $155,000. But today, you know, it'd be in the multi-millions. But the thing always happens that you really believe in. And this is some insight into a lady in the background there who purchased, after 1 year as a CSP graduate, had done $150,000 in sales and moved into a 3,000 square foot warehouse and started to accrue her own inventory. And many people think of staging only as vacant property, and all new furniture and furnishings comes in and we make it look better. But there's a starting point where you can really help people who live in the house, and that is one of the strengths of our program. So at the end of her first year, she bought a Sprinter van and moved into 3,000 square feet of property, of invested warehouse, and she started to accrue her inventory and outgrew that within a 3-year period of time. She's actually just passed her 5-year mark. And all the time that she was using, working in owner-occupied, segueing off into vacants, always using the internet and the social media to get the message out. This, she would say, I'm going to stage today. And then 2 days later, oh, look, it's staged and sold. It's staged and sold over asking. Hey, if you're thinking of selling, we've got the tools to help you do that. And every single time she's going on the internet, sending out that same message, sailed in 2 days. She says, having the CSP logo behind my work is an endorsement of my integrity and technical competence. When you choose me as your staging partner, my certification supports your professional reputation as a real estate agent. I follow a strict code of ethics. I have credible insurance coverage for my work, and I maintain my certification with continuing education. And good staging isn't cheap, and cheap staging isn't good. Proud to be a CSP, right? In this one, she said, we're excited to show you the 4 stages I did this week so far from, these are different towns, 1 occupied and 3 vacants, right? Updated her cover, sold in 5 days with multiple offers, was actually home staging awards. She was in the top 10 for Canada and top 10 for North America. Newly built home sold in 5 days, multiple offers, 160,000 over asking. It's just the same message. This is her truck, the Sprinter van. This is one of my stagers in Ottawa who has a little pull-along vehicle for her stuff. And then we've got the big guys who in Handset Staging have the massive trucks. We even have a celebrity who's taught CSP, who is a big HGTV design star and now has a massive business in New York City, Kathy Hobbs. So every time you think you can't do something, someone else thinks they can. And one of the things that Fernando asked me to speak to you about is how can you all work together to help grow your industry? So joining online communities or starting online communities, go on local talk shows, start a podcast for Home Stagers Brazil and start talking, interview people. I'll be happy to be interviewed. Initiate a newspaper campaign to raise awareness. Maybe your convention funds or perhaps membership to become part of your collaboration will help pay for a newspaper campaign. Start a blogging page for Brazil Stages. Start writing about the successes, and a local Facebook page, both nationally and locally. Start a Pinterest page to help sellers and real estate agents. Network. Host an event online for real estate agents and sellers to learn how this helps. Hold community events. Think about your social responsibility, support, get that word out there. Staging is helping. Maybe you can help stage. I was trying to think of somewhere that Habitat for Humanity. Maybe you could work there. That's one of the things that we first started. Leverage strategic partnerships. Think about doing holiday parties with Zoom so that people can be part of it. But whatever you do, you need to be an expert. You have a solution to a problem. And sometimes the person with the problem doesn't know that you can solve it for them. Their perception of staging is different than what your perception of staging is, or they don't even know they have a problem. You need to educate them. That is the key thing. If you educate the ones with the problem, and the problem is, I want to sell my house, I want to sell these empty properties, or I have an investment property, I want to make residual income from short-term rental. If you educate the ones with the problem, then you are the one that makes them go, aha. Who do you think that they will go to when they're ready for help? That would be you, because you enlightened them. And in order to do that, you must be the expert. And Sam McDaddy, who was the first real estate broker to recognize the value of staging and had me teach 30 of his agents the importance of staging with our real estate agent training program, which is different than the staging program. He says, you have to think like a millionaire and hustle like you're broke. And marketing is the key for whether you're promoting your association of stagers or whether you're promoting your individual business. Sales is something that you must commit to on an ongoing basis. You can't just try it and say, oh, it doesn't work. It takes persistence and energy. Define who your target is. And we like to say, you know, when we start out working in our staging businesses, we'll work for anybody, but really you do have that ideal client in mind. They have to have the money to pay you. They need to respect you. They need to listen to you. Determine who you're outreaching to, and your message will be better heard. Know what questions you need to ask in order to get the right answers, and then use a client retention management program to track and monitor the results, and keep on doing that. Now, I really believe in, and I know, Fernanda, this is one of the things that you asked me to talk a little bit about, is how important it is for you to have an education. This is a knowledge economy. Credentials matter. Professor Collins said, there is rising importance to credentials, and more than what people think. Social science research says there's 3 basic conceptions of why credentials work. They are measures of your knowledge and your skills. We can't look inside somebody's head to see how much they know. So credentials are an outward demonstration so the society knows that you have skills. They are a differentiator between those who have and those that don't. And credentials act as a signal that says, I can do the job. Because let's not forget, staging is a non-regulated industry, much like the home inspection industry is a non-regulated industry, but we all work in the regulated industry of real estate. So that's why our doors are open. We absolutely have a fully comprehensive business and financial program. We have a continuing education program, and it's ongoing. We're always thinking of something new. So I'm looking for Brazilian billionaires or millionaires who want to take that CSP business model and deliver it in Brazil. So what does it take? It takes one step at a time, doing something different every day. You know, I've spoken with Fernanda, featured her in the magazine. And, you know, there were times when it was a challenge for her, but she stuck with it and she's developed a really wonderful business. And don't forget, you know, trying doesn't mean that it will always work, but just keep on one step every day. The famous Michael Jordan, the basketball player, he said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career, and I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game's winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Talking about how 3 minutes can change your life. 71 years ago, in 1953, on May the 29th, which as I'm recording this is tomorrow, Sir Edmund Hillary, a New Zealand beekeeper who liked to go walking in mountains, and Tenzing Norgay, the Sherpa from Nepal, started ascending Mount Everest. They had spent weeks preparing, battling fierce winds, sub-zero temperatures, altitude sickness, as they inched towards their goal, often unsure whether they would actually survive, let alone reach the peak. And in the moments leading up to reaching the peak, it was no longer about personal glory or fame. It was just about reaching within themselves, pushing beyond their own limits, things that they thought they couldn't surpass. Their lungs were screaming, their bodies were numb, but the willpower was unbroken. And then, 3 minutes before 11:30 a.m., Hillary and Norgay reached the summit. And what changed in those 3 minutes was everything. History was made, limits were shattered, and the impossible was proven to be possible. In those 3 minutes, two men lived the testament of human determination, resilience, and unwavering courage. This event, forever etched in history, stands as a symbol that in a mere matter of minutes, life as you know can change dramatically. Roger Bannister, everybody said he was going to die. He would never be able to run a mile in a minute. And then the following month, 3 more people did it. Landing on the moon, Michael Phelps, 8 Olympic gold medals in one Olympics and 28 medals, the most decorated Olympian of all time. And you might think, well, how does this relate to me? I'm not climbing Everest or setting world records. Well, it does relate to you. It relates in every single one of us. Life is a collection of moments, a series of 3 minutes. 3 minutes to make a decision that you're going to do this. 3 minutes to make an impression. 3 minutes to change your life. A lot can happen in 3 minutes. A heart can start beating again in the emergency room. A marriage proposal can be accepted. A job offer can be received. Crucial moments are life-altering. And just like Hillary and Norgay's 3 minutes at Everest, they're little pockets of time that have the power to change the trajectory of your life. And like my 3-minute moment, you know, I definitely hesitated to take the lead on that. And if you're hesitant to take the lead, afraid of failing, I really urge you to step forward and muster the courage in a 3-minute decision to secure your first staging project. Our lives are not defined by the years we live, but the moments we seize and the courage we summon in doing so. We often tell ourselves, I'll do it when I have more time or when I'm less busy. But the truth is, substantial change doesn't always come in grand sweeping motions. It takes bite-sized moments. So essentially, we are the sum of those choices made in those fractions of time. See them as opportunities for change and for growth and for transformation. We don't have to climb Everest, but metaphorically, we all have mountains to climb. So the next time you have a moment to step out of your comfort zone, remember that 3 minutes it took me to reach out to Anne-Maurice to secure her as an ambassador, to take that leap of faith and start a business, to move into a discipline that I had no information about. When I started, I'll be honestly thought I was making it up as I was going along. And there were not the depth of information, the TV shows, the support that's available. The second lady in the red jacket here is my sister, my younger sister, Lynn. She is here on Everest Base Camp. So if you look at, flying all the way there and planning all that goes into going all the way up to Everest Base Camp, that is where she's standing, having that photograph taken. And I think that's at 19,000 feet, which is pretty good. And then on the day that they were this is base camp right here, on the day that they were to go to Everest, which is 29,000, the weather changed and they didn't get there. So think about this, 12 people went on that journey with her. 3 people made it as far as base camp, which is 19,000. Those 3 people set off to go to Kalapatha here, this mountain, because they couldn't go to Everest that day. It was too dangerous. And only 2 made it to the top. And she said, when you get here, your lungs are screaming for oxygen. You don't care that you're at the top. It's like, take the picture already, and I need to get out of here. The air is so thin. So that arrow is Everest. That's how close. But the journey was worth it, right? $12,000 US, which is probably a lot more now. We all start with a single step. These are some of our graduates. We've helped thousands and thousands of people over the years to become certified staging professionals, all different backgrounds, all starting in their own area, pioneering the trail. And the good part of when you're pioneering the trail is that there's no competition and you set the precedence. So when you move out from the convention, act as if you cannot fail, because for sure someone else is having the same ideas and they will follow you. Just be prepared to do the work that others aren't willing to do in order to get the things that others will never have. And be determined in achieving your goals and never give up. There are 2 ways that you can live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, and you can live as if everything is a miracle. And what we know about Everest today is that there have been almost 12,000 people who have climbed Everest since that 3-minute point in that amazing guy's life, Hillary Edmond. I mean, he just broke every barrier that you can think of. So it has been my honor and privilege to share this time with you. I wish you all God's blessings and much success. Please reach out to me if I can help in any way. I thank you. God bless.